Good evening and welcome back to another 101 Gooners Friday night Premier League forum. This weekend we've got some Premier League action, but we also have FA Cup action. So it's not actually just a Premier League forum, it's a FA Cup. But actually we're going to kind of toss it open and call it a transfer window forum as well. How you doing, Andy?
I'm good. You, Tom?
Yeah, pretty good. And yourself, Neil?
Yeah, I'm doing good as well. It's kind of weird, the delay between my mic and you guys lit.
Yeah, I can see there's a
I
slight
think
delay.
it's the yeah,
Okay.
slight delay.
So yeah, we're gonna just toss it open and chip and chop away at what's been going on in the world of football. We'll talk a bit of AFCON. We'll talk a bit of Premier League. We'll talk transfer window, and any other subject that you want to talk about really for an hour. Hi, 18. How you doing? Hope you're well. Apollo is in the room. He's in the background doing all the background stuff, but he's unable to join us tonight. But yeah, hope you're well, Apollo. So let's start off with transfer window because that's now been and done. I'll give you my own view. I personally hate it. I absolutely detest the transfer window. It's my worst nightmare. I detest the constant titter-tatter of the rumour mongering, the names that keep getting pulled into this scenario, that scenario, only for you to get disappointed and find out it was all just to raise the value of a player so that some other club could come and buy him. Obviously, some clubs have done some good business. Aston Villa, I think, for me, have done really well with the signing of Coutinho. But yeah, guys, talk to me.
And Dina.
And Lucas Digne.
Yeah.
Guys, who do you think's done good business? Who do you think's done bad business? What were your feelings on this January transfer window?
Who's going first?
This window, I think.
You go first,
So I was going
Andy.
to say, to be honest, go on, Andy. Go for it, Andy.
My view, I mean, like you say, I think Villa have probably done the best business in terms of the quality of what they've signed in Coutinho and Dina. They also got Chambers from Arsenal. Tony could maybe let us know what he thinks of that. But yeah, so I mean, Spurs is a funny one because arguably you'd say we're actually weaker now than we were before, in that we've let Ndombele, Lo Celso, Ali, and Brian Hill all go out either on loan or the weird free transfer to Everton, which to me is just them circumventing the loan system because Everton couldn't get any more loan signings. So they seem to have come up with this weird sort of way of doing it. But we've got Bentancur and Kulusevski. Well, if they hit the ground running, then maybe it will work. But it's strange. We've got rid of all our creative players, albeit they weren't playing. But all our creative players have gone, which is a strange move, I think. But obviously, he wanted them out of the he obviously didn't think that they were adding much to the group and possibly being a negative distraction on the group. So it will be interesting to see. I think Bentancur is a good player and Kulusevski too, but whether they'll get up to how quickly they'll get to the intensity of the Premier League, we'll have to wait and see, I guess. But I think Newcastle's interesting. They've bought some good players. But again, whether he's going to be able to mould them all and blend them into a team, but I think they'll have enough to stay up. So we'll see. But I mean, Arsenal and West Ham have done nothing. Man United haven't really done anything, and have obviously lost Greenwood now. So that's going to be an interesting story developing. But and Liverpool obviously got Diaz from the clutches of Spurs.
We were
What
after.
would you rate on the player? I mean, I don't know too much about the player, but I mean, does he walk into that Liverpool team? Would he have walked into Tottenham?
Well, the weird thing about him was I don't think that he was a player that we needed. I believe he's a player that could add value, but he plays in almost the same position as Son.
Yeah.
And so, of all the players that we need, and we need a fair few, that wasn't one of them. That position wasn't really an issue. However, I think he's a very exciting player, and I think he'll be a good acquisition for Liverpool. But for that sort of money, I'd rather Spurs be buying a left centre half or a right wing back, which is the two positions we desperately need. So it was a bit of a strange one, and possibly a creative midfielder and a striker. I could go through half the team really, but yeah, I mean, but yes, I mean, you would have rather had Diaz than not had him. I mean, he's a quality player, but it was a lot of money to fork out for somebody you don't really need right now.
Yeah.
But I think Liverpool have got him to replace Mane.
Yeah,
I think Liverpool have brought Diaz in because I think they think Mane will be on his bike.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, you've lost.
If you look at the way Diaz plays anyway, yeah. LFC at the moment are looking at future players to replace their front three anyway. The current front three of Firmino, Salah, and Mane. They're
And Jota.
30 now. And
Jota.
No, Jota's young. Jota's young, man. He's already in. He's already in the fold. He'll be there.
Yeah.
After he'll be there after Mane, Salah, and Firmino all leave anyway. So I can see Klopp. Klopp was looking at Diaz anyway before Tottenham came in, but they were looking at buying him in the summer. And the only sort of thing that I've seen him actually play was when they played against us in Champions League, and so I can see why Klopp, he caught Klopp's eye, and he was a player to go for. Yeah, but it's just a player that they're looking at, not necessarily putting him in the first team right now, but obviously getting used to the players around him, and he's a future player, definitely a future player. He'll probably play in some of the cup games. He'll probably play ASAP if depending on what happens with the final anyway, and whether our two main players come back. Injured or injured free. To see, but he's just another player to the squad at this moment in time. But Tottenham did actually force the hand of Liverpool to buy him anyway.
I don't see Liverpool having a shortage of players. I mean, obviously we played you in the cup at the Emirates, and the strike force you had was more than enough for us, and that was a good Arsenal defence.
The thing is, the players that they played during that game, but they're not the best at this moment in time. But Liverpool had
I don't know if there's anything you can do about your feed, Neil, but you're dropping out. You're dropping out every now and again. If there's anything that can be done.
No, to be honest, no. I'm practically next to my router.
Okay.
The only thing I can do is come off and come back on. So that's all I can do.
Yeah. Talk to me, Andy, about Christian Eriksen. What's your thoughts on him returning to the Premiership?
Well, obviously, it's a wonderful story. I wish him all the best at Brentford. I mean, he was fantastic for Spurs for a few years, but certainly towards the end of his time at Spurs, he wasn't anything like the player he had been a few years earlier. And people talk about how brilliant his set piece delivery is. Well, we used to get incredibly frustrated at how poor his corners were, because he very rarely used to beat the first man, which used to drive us insane. So, and I think although he can deliver a good free kick, he didn't actually do it very often. So I would sort of temper any enthusiasm people have with saying that although you could put together an amazing show reel of stuff Ericsson has done over the years, if you look at the consistency, it wasn't always as great as you might think with Ericsson. But there's no doubt he's a quality player. But I've heard a lot of people saying that we should have got him back. I just think his time at Spurs was done, and I wish him all the best, and I hope he's a success at Brentford and he does well. But I don't think it was right for him to come back to us.
Okay.
And I hope well. I think Brentford have got a good player there, but there's a lot for him to prove.
Yeah. One thing, as I look down, and I've got the list of transfers in and out for every team during this January transfer window, and the list is ginormous. And what it has shown to me is a huge amount of creativity around a lack of money, because the number of loans and the places where people are coming from. You know, you take Arsenal. Arsenal actually did two bits of business. We got a guy called Lino Souza from West Brom, and we got a guy called Austin Trusty from Colorado Rapids. So we got two players in. The guy Trusty from Colorado Rapids has gone back to Colorado Rapids on loan. So no money transferring as yet, I'm pretty certain. But in amongst that, we managed to offload 17 players.
17?
Yeah. Yeah. And bear in mind, Arsenal, the club that I've got, had players out on AFCON and had a game postponed because we didn't have enough players. Yet in January, we managed to get rid of 17 players. So, you know, again, for those people who were saying, oh, Arsenal, we're in a bad situation. Well, it's of our own volition that we got ourselves into that problem. And anything going forward from here can only be considered to be of our own volition, because look at what we did in January. We pretty much have given away a squad, not a team, a squad. 17 players have gone out. So I'm going to count 1, 2,
where were these players?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 players on loan. I'm not even sure that a team should be allowed to have 10 players on loan. It just seems like it makes a mockery of the youth and the youth system and the loan system, that you've got 10 players on loan.
Tony, who are these 17 players?
Yeah, but what were these players? Where were they?
Okay, I'll give you the headline names. Ainsley Maitland-Niles, Following Balogun, who played today, started for Middlesbrough. A geezer that we bought like ages ago called Dejan Iliev is a goalkeeper. He was released. Kolasinac, who I just watched play for Marseille. Pablo Mari went to Udinese on loan. Karl Hein, our third choice goalkeeper, who was on the bench this season. 6 went on loan to Reading. Tyrese John-Jules, who's a very highly rated striker at Arsenal, went on loan.
But Tony, these aren't first team players, are they?
Okay. Callum Chambers. Yeah.
Okay.
Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. Yeah. So, the people who I've mentioned.
But nobody you've mentioned was playing in the first team.
Well, Maitland-Niles has played in the first team.
No,
Kolasinac has played in the first team.
They have played in the first team, but they weren't in the first team.
They've all played this season. Yeah? Chambers has played this season. Yeah? And Aubameyang has played this season.
All right.
But I mean, looking around, and again, just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, Brentford bought 4 players in, one from a team I can't even pronounce the name. One of them came from Needham Market. And you got to think, well, what division is Needham Market? That's got to be like Southern, one of them tier 6 leagues. Brighton bought a player from a team called White Hawk. Ethan Wadey went to Chelsea. Oh no, that's out. That's out. So,
basically, not a lot happened in this transfer window.
A lot happened. A hell of a lot happened. Because if I'm
looking I don't think it did really.
I think a lot of business was transacted in terms of players moving, yeah, but nothing major came in.
That was the truth of it. Nothing major was happening.
You know, lots of stuff moved around. Man United did no business, but
a lot of these players,
got rid of a load of players.
Around, they're not key players. A lot of them aren't key players anyway. So even though there's been a lot of business, they're not key players. They're not the majority of them. People are kind of scratching their heads. Who, where, why, sort of thing. So to me, I kind of agree with Andy that I don't think that the transfer window was that. To be honest, this year, I don't think it was. But thanks, Andy. We got Diaz, so that's all we needed.
He was always going to you. We were used as a leverage to get you to come in for him early.
Yeah, exactly. The thing that I want to mention though is that Newcastle, they have brought a couple of players in, but I'm still not sure whether they're going to, beat the drop or not. I'm not sure about that. The players actually, to me, look like a player that's going to be a massive game changer. That's going to make them go all of a sudden. They're going to start winning games. I don't know. I don't know. They just don't have that form at this moment in time. And whoever you put in there, I can't see them making. They'll make a bit of a difference, but I don't think it's going to be enough this season. I see them going down, but coming straight back up again. So any Newcastle fan watching now, sorry, but that's how I see it.
I think they're going to be all right.
And when you look at the sort of money that they spent on the players as well, considering they spent, considering they're supposed to be the richest club, when you look at the amount of money they spent on some of the players, you're kind of thinking 20 mil, 30 mil, really? It just, to me, just doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. Maybe on paper they've got a lot of money, but maybe they're restricted to the amount they can actually spend at this moment in time.
Yeah, 25 million on Wood is a lot of money.
That's what I'm saying. No, it's a lot of money for Wood, but it's in the amount of money that they've spent. Well, so we think anyway, because they're supposed to be the richest club, and we expect them to be spending, 50, 60, 70 mil on players. So they haven't really kind of like broken the bank this transfer window, considering, they need a lot of players and a lot of good players to keep them up.
I think Guimaraes could be a great signing, but he's another one. Is how will he adapt to the Premier League? Will he hit the ground running, or is he going to take a couple of months to get used to it?
Yeah, I mean, he was a player that kept getting linked with Arsenal back and forth, and it was like, come on, please, just give up the ghost on this player. He's not that good. He really isn't. I don't even think he's the best player in the team he came from.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you look at Newcastle, the key for them surviving is getting players already in the Premiership that will make a big difference. That other players who haven't played in the Premiership, that's a bit of a gamble. Yes, they could come in and they could play brilliant and they could save them, but then again, they may not get used to it in time.
I think what might help Newcastle is I think they did good business defensively. They got in Trippier at right back. They got in Dan Burn as a left centre back, and they got in Matt Targett as a left back from Villa. I think they were good bits of business because those three are all experienced Premier League players. Obviously, Trippier has just won the title with Athletic Madrid last year. And
my view is they should have got Lucas Digne. That's who they should have. If they're looking at defensive players, Lucas Digne would have been a good buy.
Digne didn't want to go there, did he?
Well, they obviously didn't offer him enough money, right? Because money does talk a lot in this game. Yeah, I mean,
You
he's
say
got
that I
obviously from
don't.
Villa.
You say that like I don't think any of the players that have gone to Newcastle are on big money. I really don't. I don't see. I think they've done good business, and they haven't broke the bank. They've not spent any money. You know, they haven't gone out and blown 100 million in a January transfer window.
They have spent 100 million, Tone.
Have they?
Yeah.
They bought a lot of players. They did
40
bought a lot of players.
on Grammarish, 25 on Wood, 12 on Trippier, 13 on Burn. That's 95.
They spent close. They have,
Okay, I didn't think there was anywhere near
but as I
close
said,
to that.
I don't see.
And
them
they bid 22 for Ekitike, but it didn't go through on the last day.
Okay.
I think what they've done now is they've brought players in to get them used to the current team. That if they do go down, they're going to come straight back up. That's all they're looking at the moment. They're looking at next season rather than this season.
Okay.
Yeah, and they have.
And
And
again,
I understand. There's no relegation clauses in any of the contracts, which means that those players don't get out of them if they go down. So they've made sure the players are.
Yep.
If we do go down, you're going to still be with us next season.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool Case says Arsenal need to offer Arteta a new deal. This movement and improvement needs to keep happening. They don't need to give him a new contract. I'm not convinced he's the real deal. I'm still sitting on the fence. I'm neither in nor out, but I'd rather just see what he does by the end of the season, because, you know, give him a new deal and then we end up in 8th place or 9th place by the end of the season. Everybody will be absolutely kicking themselves. There's just too much of this season left to play. And with Arsenal doing the stupidness that they've done in absolutely ripping the squad up to nothing, I don't see it ending happily. I really don't. So, you know, I'm hoping, yes, I do want my team to do well this season, but I've got no faith in the people who run Arsenal to deliver on what looks like what could potentially be a top 6 finish. I've got no faith. But if they do, I'll be pleased and I'll take it. And then you can offer him a new contract. But until he does it, an 8th place finish doesn't float my boat at all. Players like Digne, who did not go to Newcastle, have no vision. Just see Chelsea and City. That's all they're looking is money. That's from Bertram. Yeah, I mean, you know what? Take the money. I still don't get the attraction of going to Newcastle.
Do you know? I mean, Newcastle back in the day were a very good team. They've got a little bit of history that they can be proud of. If they get the right players in, yeah. I mean, if they come on
in black and white in 18 something years, 19.
Yeah, I mean they're okay. I mean they're not. Other than when they went down, obviously when they went down, but then you got to remember they were under Ashley. Yeah, Ashley practically tore that team apart anyway. But before
but that team was never doing anything anyway. It's not like Ashley tore apart a championship winning team. That was a nothing team. Newcastle weren't a Premier League team. They were a First Division team.
It was a championship winning team, but not a Premiership winning team.
No, I still think that. I think they were a good squad. They were a good team. They've had their glory days are behind them. I agree, but then again, with the money that they got now,
behind them,
we'll have to see what happens. With them.
Honestly,
yeah, I mean,
I think you guys are underestimating what can happen at Newcastle in a very.
I'm not underestimating anything. I'm not underestimating anything, because if you look at history, right? I'm not talking about history of the team, but if you look at history of money, yeah, City have done it with, yeah. Newcastle, they will attract players as time goes on. They will be winning stuff, guaranteed. They're a team.
If Newcastle,
they're a team not to worry at the moment, but they will do. They will do.
If Newcastle stay up this season, they will have a massive overhaul in the summer.
Yeah,
and
they're going to have one anyway.
Yeah, it will. But what I'm saying is the difference between who they'll be able to attract if they stay in the Premier League and who they'll attract if they go down. It's a different kettle of fish. So, but if they stay up,
No, right, you're right. If they go down,
no, I'm saying if they stay up.
they'll just do what Fulham did, isn't it?
I'm not talking
Yeah,
about
no,
if they go
no,
down. I'm saying if they stay up, Newcastle will be a force next season because they will invest in the summer to make themselves a force next season. Now, it doesn't mean to say they're going to win the league. They're not yet, but they will over time. Give it 5 years, they will, because they've got more money than.
I'm willing to bet. I'm willing to bet you today, Liverpool, Newcastle don't win the league in the next 5 years. I'm literally willing to put my hat on a bet right now that Newcastle will not follow the Man City model, even with all the money they've got. I think football has changed to the point where I see a lot of teams with a lot of money. And I'll give you the classic example. Paris Saint-Germain have thrown the checkbook at football. And what have they got for it?
Yeah, it's slightly different though with Paris Saint-Germain because they don't have the quality of opposition every week that you get in the Premier League.
Does that make a difference, Andy?
Does
that really make a difference?
It does.
If you bought a team ready to win the Champions League, yeah, if you bought the players that they've bought.
But Tony, you need to understand that they're playing every week against teams that most weeks they can stroll around against and win comfortably, right? But then they go into the Champions League and they're playing serious football teams that play in high intensity leagues week in, week out. And every game they're playing at a high level. PSG find it very, very difficult when they come up against the Premiership sides and Bayern Munich and people like that. And of old, Real Madrid and Barcelona before this season, they find it tough.
Yeah, but you could say exactly the same thing about Bayern Munich. Outside of Dortmund and maybe two other teams, that German league is not that hot.
It's not as hot, but it is intense. They have to work hard.
As I said, I'm willing to go on my shield and say Newcastle, I don't think even have a chance of winning the Premier League in the next 5 years. If you extend it to 10 years, maybe. But for me, the powerhouses that are in football right now, Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, Man City, are going to be the powerhouses in football. And it's going to take some almighty shake-up for anybody to get in amongst that top four. I mean, Man United, I guess I should really take them out of it because they're self-imploding by all looks of it. But they are still Man United.
Chelsea have had a massive wobble over the last 2 or 3 months.
Chelsea won the Champions League, Andy. What are you talking about? They've had a wobble.
No, in the last 2 or 3 months, I said, Tony.
No, forget 2 or 3 months form. 2 or 3 months. Listen, 2 or 3 months form is not what I judge a team by. I judge a team by results of a season. Yeah, if you want to talk about 2-3 months, there's a statistic that says if you took Arsenal's last year from January to January, we're the second best team in the league. Where did we finish in the league in June? In May? We was at 8th place. So I'm not taking anybody can put stats up based on certain small criteria of window. Yeah. Oh, let me drag it out to this period of time, and all of a sudden we look like the best thing since sliced bread. No, we have to look at the results. We look at what the season done, who finished where, and we base it on that. Chelsea finished the season 2 cup finals, 1 Champions League win.
Yeah, Tony, you often have. Well, you frustrate me sometimes, Tony, because you go off on a tangent and you talk about what you want to talk about, and you don't talk about what the other person just said.
What did you say?
I said that Chelsea were great last season, but they don't look good this season, in my opinion, for the last 3 months. That's what I said.
Okay.
The last 3 months, they haven't been a
But
very good team.
we're talking about Newcastle jumping into the top 5, top 4, top 3 in the next
Over the
5
next
years.
Yeah,
And
I
that,
believe.
what I just said is the
I believe
reason.
Newcastle can do it.
Over the next 5 years, they'll do it.
Okay.
Yeah,
As I said, I'm
I
willing
believe
to
they will
make a
as well.
bet with any. I'm willing to make a bet with anybody
I mean,
to say
look.
they won't be in that. Anyway,
Not
let's
Look,
move
with
on.
Eddie Howe, but when
No,
they appoint the manager they want to
Okay.
appoint.
that's
We'll
what
see.
they've got to do.
We'll
What we've got to remember is
timestamp this end of January 2022, and
but
we'll
within
look how
5
we
years. Within
feel.
5 years.
All right,
Yeah,
we'll see.
I reckon they will. I reckon they will.
Okay,
I personally
Newcastle's
reckon they will.
owners are as rich as the rest of the Premier League owners combined. Money talks.
Exactly.
Yeah, I
It does
get
talk.
that. I get that. Newcastle's window was not perfect. It's still a significant improvement on windows gone by. Yeah. As I said, I'm willing to go on my shield, but we'll see. Apollo, who had the best window? So who did have the best window?
The best transfer window. Best team.
Yeah. Apollo's gone for Aston Villa. And
Agreed.
Andy's agreeing with that one.
Villa. Definitely Villa.
Yeah. So I think all in, we've all agreed. I agree. Villa have had the best window of all the teams.
But I'm interested to see what happens with Van der Beek and Ali at Everton
as well. I was going to say
because
Everton.
if those two were to rediscover their form, then Everton may have a claim.
Yeah, but remember, Van der Beek is only there till the end of the season.
True.
He's just there on loan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
who knows what could happen in the end of the season? Anyway, Liverpool and Villa. Liverpool, for buying one player, have had one of the best windows out of everyone. Okay. So what other subjects, guys, do you fancy having a chop at? Is there anything else that you are interested in? AFCON. Okay, AFCON.
Did anybody see the game yesterday? No. Yeah, I was saying, did anybody see the game
yesterday?
To be honest, watching that game yesterday, it shows how poor some of those players are. And do you know what, right? As much as I like AFCON and I like watching these players, unfortunately, when you look at the majority of the teams, a lot of the players within those teams are around Europe. So they're not at the top. They're not at the top of their game. They're not in teams where they're at the top of the game, and you can see the quality. You see the difference in the quality. I mean, you look at the penalties yesterday. Yeah, they missed 3 penalties, and the third one wasn't even on target. It wasn't. The keeper had dived the wrong way, and he was still off target. You know what I mean? So it's nice to watch the games. It's nice to see. When that quality, it's still not there yet. I mean, AFCON needs a lot of money pumped into it.
The best committed penalties, Ronaldo missed the target tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, there's if I was to sum up my view of the competition, it looks like a lot of poorly managed teams. Because some of those teams have got really good players who, for some reason, are not utilised the way that they should be. I mean, it's refreshing to see some of the teams that were who made it in: Guinea-Bissau, Mauritania, Tunisia, Comoros. Comoros, I didn't even know. I mean, I consider myself a bit of an expert on the continent of Africa, and I didn't even know where Comoros was. I had to look it up. It's thrown up some typical shock results. Teams that you expected to perhaps waltz through the first round, like Nigeria,
Nigeria,
not getting
Ghana as well.
through.
Ghana as well.
Yeah. Sorry, Nigeria did go through. I meant Ghana.
Ghana.
But yeah, I mean, it's one of them competitions that it doesn't help itself in some of its presentation. I mean, the early game where in the tournament where the referee blew at the 85 minute,
Yeah,
and then there was all that hoo-ha. You're like, how unprofessional is that?
Did you know that one of the games they had the first female black referee?
Yeah, so that's good to see.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to
Obviously,
see.
a good thing to highlight. So there's,
Not that, and
there's
that
good.
shows about the coverage as well.
Yeah, there's good and there's bad. I mean, the fact that some of the games are played in pretty much empty stadiums.
Yeah.
But that does happen in the European Championship with some of the smaller games. So it's not unique.
Remember, you've also got the background of coronavirus as well.
And you got the background of coronavirus. So
which was rife in Cameroon. So
yeah, and you also got the fact that teams were affected by coronavirus. So Comoros were famously playing with one of their outfield players in goal because they had no goalkeeper.
Yep.
So it's been an interesting competition. The two semi-finals, I've watched them both.
The Senegal game was a good game.
The Senegal game was a good game.
The
game yesterday, it kind of just flattered to deceive.
Yeah.
Neither team really.
Okay. It was
the one chance that Salah had when he should have gone round Onana, and he fluffed his lines. And you see when he falls on the floor, he picks up the pitch. And I'm like, that pitch was awful. You kind of go, literally. I mean, I was looking at the pitch the whole time thinking, this pitch isn't right.
Yeah, yeah.
And when he fell and he picked it up, I was like, yeah, there you go. That just goes to show, the pitch is not right. It's just way too soft. Well. Yeah.
It's just a lack of investment in the competition or overall. They're obviously not getting the financial help. And there's not a lot of money going around Senegal for that sort of thing, to have that sort of competition. And that's the sad thing about it. As I said, for AFCON to be a lot more successful, like the Copa America and European Championship, a lot more money has to be pumped in.
Ultimately, though, the best two players in the tournament, Mane and Salah, are going to be playing against each other in the final.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that'd be good. But after yesterday's game, Salah doesn't look like he's going to be coming back happy. I think Senegal will actually win it. Mane will be the happy of the two. I just hope that he doesn't let it get him down.
The happy of the two will be the one who wins.
Yeah, exactly.
I think Egypt will win.
Yeah.
I think Senegal will win. I personally think Senegal have played the much better
50-50.
football competition.
I think Senegal should win, but I somehow believe that Egypt will find a way.
Okay. Well, we'll see. But yeah, I mean, it's it is what it is, and it's been an okay competition. Hopefully they'll look at it, do a lot more for the next, improve it.
Just for your information, guys, Man United are needing penalties against Middlesbrough.
Yep. I've got it on. So I'm kind of like, if I keep doing that, that's because I'm watching and talking and watching and talking. So
this is the Man United team with Ronaldo, Fernandes, Pogba, Rashford, Sancho, Varane, Shaw, all of them Maguire, all of them in the team, McTominay, and they're needing penalties against Middlesbrough.
What do you reckon? Before they take the first penalty, who's going to win penalties?
Man United.
Man
Yeah,
United.
I think United would do it. Well, they should do it. They should do it, but this is a competition, right? And we've seen a lot of teams, big teams, fall to smaller teams anyway. So I'm hoping that United don't do it, but no. I
Interesting.
think the whole country's watching these penalties now. Oh well, they scored their first one. Scored their first one. So come on, gents. So what else do you guys want to talk about?
So what do
Or do you want to?
what do we think about the rest of the Premiership season then? As an Arsenal fan, Tony, what do you feel about letting all your players go?
So I think it's completely ludicrous that Arsenal have put themselves in a position where currently we have no recognised top striker. A team like Arsenal, when you look at the kinds of players that we've had, stretching back for a good, 30, 40 years, certainly in my time, we've always had a good crop of strikers. To be left in a situation where we've got one recognised striker in Lacazette, who is a striker who's never scored 20 goals.
But also, he does have a bit of an injury record as well, Lacazette.
Yeah, he doesn't have legs. He can't play 90 minutes full up in a busy game. So if a team is pressing hard and he'll flake out after 60, 70 minutes.
But if he gets injured, seriously, you've got a big problem on your hands.
Yeah, absolutely. Terrible situation to be left in. Eddie Nketiah is out of contract at the end of the year, so he's kind of just waiting on the side to go on his free move as our Lacazette, who's also available to go on a free. So those guys are in a position where they're kind of just thinking, well, I'm not going to be here next season. What am I playing for? Arsenal didn't even get to penalties against Nottingham Forest, of course. So yeah, we've got decent back four. If all the players are fit, we've got plenty of cover coming back in the summer. William Saliba comes back. Midfield is clearly an issue. With Thomas Partey and Granit Xhaka both suspended for the next couple of games. It leaves us thin. With Sambi Lokonga.
I was actually surprised that you guys. I was surprised that you guys didn't get rid of Xhaka in the window.
Well, he seems to be a favourite for the managers. No manager ever drops him.
I really don't. I really don't get that. I just don't get that.
No, a lot of Arsenal fans don't get it either. He's not a progressive enough player.
He seems to be he's popular though. Apparently, he's popular with the youngsters and that.
There's other players who are more popular.
Does he do a lot of stuff?
I mean, let me give you an example.
Yeah, but does he do a lot of stuff outside the team?
No. If you look at the Arsenal social media, the player who's impressing all the young players right now at training is Jack Wilshere. Every player is talking about how impressive Jack Wilshere is on the training pitch right now. He went to Dubai with the team. I don't know if they're still there, but he's all the young players are tweeting, Jack Wilshere is this, Jack Wilshere is this. And you kind of go, well, nobody's saying anything about Granit Xhaka, and no one ever has.
Yeah.
He's not. David Luiz had a big influence with the young players. Aubameyang even, but nobody's saying anything about Granit Xhaka. Granit Xhaka is synonymous with failure at Arsenal. We've never got top four with him. you know, we've won an FA Cup and a Community Shield. Yeah, credit due for that. You know, he's not the worst player in the world. I mean, interestingly, when he plays for his national team, he seems to be a different player. And if he goes somewhere, he'll probably stand out. I mean, I could see him being a good player in Italy. I could see him being a good player in Spain. This league, for me, is too fast for him. You know, most red cards of any player in however long, you know, he literally is a red card a season easy. I think he's on 2 this season.
That's down to Arteta to get that out of him, though, isn't he? To get that out.
You're not going to get anything out of him. He's one of them players that he's not going to change. You know, he's in all of his time at Arsenal. You know, he's only scored what, 5 goals, 6 goals at most. He doesn't get you assists. He's not a free kick specialist of any note. So he's just a hod carrier. He's not a great tackler. He's terrible. He's terrible at tackling.
Yeah,
so you kind of think, what does he do? So my hopes for Arsenal, I mean, you know, as I said, I don't actually think Arteta is churning up any trees. I mean, he's done good business last summer. Tomiyasu, great buy. Ben White, good buy. Aaron Ramsdale, fantastic buy. But none of them came in, and we were thinking, oh, these guys are going to tear up trees. But actually, some of them have torn up trees. But around that, you know, last season we had Willian, who was an absolute disgraceful player. You know, what he did in his time at Arsenal is just totally ridiculous. And the amount of money we paid him for the time he was there, you know, it was awful. So I won't linger on, but, you know, I'm just going to sit and wait and see what happens by the end of the season to make any judgment on Arteta. The person I can definitely judge now is Edu, because, you know, I don't see him doing anything. We need somebody in the back room who's capable of doing stuff properly, and not having our club be in the situation we're in now. But as far as Arteta is concerned, if he gets top 6, well done. I'll give him a contract for another couple of years and see how it goes.
Is
that enough Arsenal?
Let's see Liverpool.
Liverpool. Oh, where can I start? To be honest, I think we're in a good place. Once we get Mane and Salah back, we're in a good place at this moment in time. The squad's not I don't think the squad is the biggest or the best squad out there. Or fit, bloody good. We'll definitely give City a run for their money, but it's the lack of form. I mean, Mane's been great, but then he's also been poor at the same time. Salah's been great, but then he's also missed a lot at the same time. Alexander-Arnold, he went off the boil for a couple of games, and it made a big difference. When Robertson got sent off, you can see whenever any of these players kind of miss it, the whole team affects the whole team and how we play. So I'm hoping that come the summer, Klopp brings in a couple more younger players, and kind of rejigs the team, because we're going to start needing it soon. We're going to start needing it. As I said, we've got a few players that are hitting 30 plus. I know you guys say that, yeah, you got loads and loads of midfield players, but as I said, I'm not even going to bash the live.
When you talk about young players, though,
I'll be here all night bashing them. That's the question. That is the question. I suppose we got a couple of young boys. We got Harvey Elliott. I can't wait for him to come back. He's going to make a big difference when he comes back. But you know, it depends on how well he heals, and mentally how well he does once he comes back. Because coming back from an injury, physically he might be, but mentally, I can see players coming in hard and he's pulling out. So he's got to get over that mental thing. Jones is a decent enough player. Williams, decent enough player. These players need a bit more experience. That's why. So for the I'd like to see them in more in the cup games. I would like to see Klopp never takes the domestic seriously anyway, and I'd just like to see him put the boys in and just go, lads, there you go. This is your competition. We're not going to put any of the main players in. Let's see what you can do. Get used to playing with one another. That sort of thing. That's the sort of experience they need. Drip feeding them into the main team, the first 11, having them on the bench, sit on the bench for like 6-7 games and maybe get 5 minutes. I don't think that does anything for their confidence. I mean, yes, it's nice to know that, but if you're actual game time, it does their heads in. You can see it does their heads in. I think that a lot of these young guys, they need to get more game time. I know it puts the team at risk, but then you got to make an omelette. You got to break a few eggs. So it'd be interesting to see what they're doing this summer. But as I said, for me, as I said, I'm trying not to go on because I've been told that. So I'm not to bash the team, especially the midfield players like Henderson and players like that. I'm gonna try my best. Well, I'm not gonna bash them for once. So what about Spurs, Andy?
Yeah, I'm going to make a prediction.
Go for it.
We're going to get top 4.
Yeah. Who's gonna drop out?
Man United.
To be honest, I didn't think United were going to be to be honest, with the way they've got players.
To be honest,
they just can't. They can't play well together.
Man United should get top 4, and they're just out of the FA Cup. Yes.
Did they? Oh wow. No. Well, that's a prime example, right? Man United have players, individuals. They have great individuals, yeah, but they just cannot put it together. And you look at a lot of the games. A lot of the games you think, oh, they're going to walk this. They're going to be 4-0. They should do against the lower Premier League teams, and they struggle. They struggle to score goals. And there's a big difference between the United of this season and the United that came second last season, right? The main difference is Ronaldo and is it Sancho? Who did they bring in? I can't remember now. Yeah, it was Sancho, wasn't it? Yeah, Sancho. Yeah. I mean, those are the most sort of like big players that they kind of brought in to improve this squad, and yet they haven't. They have. Ronaldo saved them a lot as well. That's what makes it worse. He saved them a lot. But there's a big difference between the team this season and last season, considering they haven't really added many players to it. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
It's gonna be interesting with both Arsenal and Man United out of the FA Cup now. United have still got the Champions League. Arsenal don't have only the league to focus on with Arsenal. Spurs, United have got the Champions League and the league. Spurs have still got the FA Cup and the league, but Spurs have got a tough game against Brighton tomorrow night because Brighton are a decent side. They play good football, and Spurs is all going to be dependent. We've got Son and Romero back from injury now. That's massive for us, for them two to be back. And now Skip's injured. We've got Skip and Tanganga are injured now. Tanganga I'm not so concerned about, but Skip has been playing pretty well this season. But a lot of it could depend on how much of an impact Bentancur and Kulusevski can have. I've heard rumours from the training ground that Conte seems to think that Kulusevski could actually play as a right wing back, which strikes me as a surprise, but that's seemingly what's being suggested, that he can play as a 10 or as a second 9 or as a right wing back. So we'll have to. It'd be interesting to see how that develops. Whether he can find form in the Premier League. I don't expect them to start tomorrow. I think the two new guys will be on the bench tomorrow probably. But you know, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, having Son and Kane back up front, that's huge for us. If Son and Kane can start firing, they can fire us to victory in any game if they're on form. But what we've been lacking is creativity. So I'm going to be interested to see whether Bentancur can come in and make any kind of impact, or whether he's going to be another one of these foreign guys that takes 3 months, 6 months to settle to the intensity. If that's the case, then we could have a bit of a problem. But I think Spurs could be dependent on injuries for the rest of the season. If we can keep the main boys fit for the last 3 months of the season, 4 months of the season, we've got a good as chance as anyone of making the top four. But a bit like Arsenal, if we get our first choice 11 on the pitch, we're a match for anyone. But if the moment you start taking a couple of key players out, then just like Arsenal, we'll be struggling. So it'll be an interesting end to the season as to who manages to keep their main boys on the pitch.
Yeah. And the thing that complicates the whole thing is the fact that there are so many games to be scheduled.
Exactly.
You know,
well, we've got five.
We've got loads.
Five
You've got more. Yeah.
You've only got Arsenal. Have only got 3
as well.
Yeah. We've got 5 this month, and plus the game tomorrow night. So we've had a rearranged league game against Burnley. It's been put in the end of February. We've got City away, Burnley away, Leeds away. So we've got 3 away games at the end of February. We're 3 games in 7 days away from home. That's going to be a tough little run for us. And before that, and before that, this week we've got Brighton at home, Southampton at home, and Wolves at home. Well, Wolves is a match for anybody at the moment.
Yeah, that's our next game coming up this Thursday.
You've got them on Thursday, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think there's the issue at the moment is you can't look at hardly any games in the season and say that's a 3 points gimme. Yeah, there's hardly any games like that you can say, yeah, we're gonna get 3 points out of that game. Because too many of us, Spurs, Arsenal, United, even West Ham recently, have, you go into games thinking you're going to win them and you don't. And all of us have shown inconsistent form at spells this season. We've all had good runs at some point, but we've all also had bad spells at points as well. So
part of that is down to.
Sorry?
I'd say part of that is down to not being on form. I'd say part of that is down to Kane because he hasn't had the best season. He hasn't lit it for you this season.
No, I mean that's what I said. If
Kane,
Kane and Son can hit their stride in the last 4 months of the season, Spurs have got as good a chance of anybody of making that top 4. Because in terms of strikers, those 2 are as good as anyone in the Premier League. But they need the service. So that's my concern is, are we going to be able to give them the service? If we can find a way of doing it, and we've got a good manager, so hopefully he can find a platform and a style that can get them chances. If he can do it, then we've got a good chance. But it's going to be an interesting finish to the season.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we've done our hour. Been a nice chit chat. Hope you have had a good one, and hope you have a good day tomorrow. Spurs are at home to Brighton. Liverpool play Sunday.
Yep, so Sunday. Cardiff. Yep. Yeah. Won't take that game. I know it's Cardiff, but we can't take that game lightly. We need to go through just so that Mane and Salah get at least one more game in the FA Cup run. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, look, you put out a team without those players against Arsenal, what we would now consider to be the full strength Arsenal, and done a job at the Emirates. So I expect nothing less than a win for Liverpool.
Well, it
You know,
should
you've
be a
had a
win.
break.
Should be a win.
Yeah,
But
it should be a win.
as you saw with United, they got knocked out against Middlesbrough.
True.
So anything is.
True.
That's what I'm saying. I don't write anything off.
Yeah.
Form is always great to kind of go. Well, you should be able to. You should be able to. You know,
Yeah.
that's the famous last words with the FA Cup. Yeah.
Mm.
You'll be all right.
Giant killers.
You'll be all right.
The
Yeah.
big teams going out to small teams. No, I think we'll do it, but I'm not going to be cocky about it. Or go, yeah, we should do, because realistically, they can still get knocked out. Anything is possible, and that's the good thing about the FA Cup. Nothing is guaranteed.
Lexi, are you at home?
No, do you know? I need to
Yes.
check, you know? Yeah, I
Yes,
think we
you
are.
are. You are. Yeah.
You'll go through.
In the game, and whether
Anyway,
VAR
boys,
is
by the time next Friday comes around, we'll have another round of Premier League fixtures to discuss.
That's right. Yeah.
Midweek,
So we've got a
yeah.
full list of fixtures that go on. One tomorrow, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday there's fixtures. So yeah, we'll have hopefully a lot more to talk about. We'll have a couple more of our usual panelists on with us. But thanks again, gents, for joining me. Have a great weekend.
Cheers, guys.
Take care,
well
guys.
done, gents.
Take it easy.